Being held in Sandton in northern Johannesburg. A number of sectors are being eyed, include agriculture, mining, energy and tourism, amongst others, for some investment. This year, the forum has attracted more than 2,000 delegates from more than 100 countries, 48 of those being from the African continent, which is the focus. For more, we cross to our anchor, Nompumelelo Siziba. Good afternoon, Nompu. What's the mood on the ground in Sandton at the moment?
Thanks very much, Nastasia. Well, the mood is great. People are really enjoying the engagements. Of course, there's a lot of closed-door discussions around deals being made. We'll only get a full sense of what deals and quantums have been concluded tomorrow. I think around 12 midday, they're going to have a press conference or a briefing telling us how much has been pledged. Last year, it was about $38.7 billion US. Some of those projects are underway, and of course, the different projects will have different varying times because they're investments in different sectors, different projects and so on. But obviously, on a cumulative basis, we need to see whether they managed to get one up on last year. And if that's the case, that will be very positive indeed. So, of course, apart from those closed room discussions that are taking place between investors, which include private equity investors, institutional investors, as well as businesses that want to be invested in, and policymakers. There are also sessions taking place. And one of the sessions that was taking place earlier was how do you ensure, how do you leverage institutional money, institutional investors? And this speaks to things like your pension funds and so on and so forth. And one of my colleagues was in the session, and she just gave me a brief because I wasn't able to go in. And she was basically saying that one of the things that potential investors were saying, they want more policy certainty from African policy makers. If they can get more policy certainty and ensure that the goalposts in terms of policy are not shifted every so often, they would be willing to invest. If you recall, we know that MTN has had a lot of problems in Nigeria, and some people have put that down to the government there just moving the goalposts every now and again, with MTN not really knowing where it stands. So it's that kind of thing that people are referring to. The other thing as well that they were saying is that they want to be able to, just get on with free-flowing investment without any disruptions in terms of red tape and all of that kind of stuff. We know that here in South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa has been talking about how a lot of work has gone into reducing red tape, not only for international investors, but for the likes of SMEs, which are very important for economic growth in any parts of the world, of course. So if you can minimize red tape, if you can make it more accessible to invest in the economy and ensure that there's security of tenure, then investors are more than willing. And I don't think that money is actually a problem. We know that in the Western world currently, interest rates are very low. People are not getting a return on their money. Equities markets are very volatile indeed. And Africa does look very attractive to invest in, so long as all those various parameters are actually sorted out in terms of making an investor feel comfortable that their money is safe and they're going to get a decent return on their investment. A little bit later, I'll hopefully be speaking to a prominent businesswoman. She was chairing a discussion around empowering women on the continent by opening up the money bags to women so that they can make an impact, because we as women, we do make an impact because we tend to think more about family, etc., etc. Yeah. And so we're going to be chatting to Daphne Mjila Nkosi. She's the head of the Khalkhadi mining business, hopefully a bit later. But that's all I have for you for now, Nastasia. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Nompu. It's Francis. And before we let you go, just quickly tell us if there's a different flavor, because, of course, last week the focus was on South Africa. Now it's on Africa as a whole. Many of the issues that you're talking about relate to South Africa, and we want a piece of this pie as well. These continental projects coming in. Does it feel different to you?
Well, I think it is very different because, like you say, last week the emphasis was on South Africa. This week the emphasis is on the whole continent. South Africa, yes, it wants a piece of the pie, and I do understand that the Gauteng government has a pipeline of projects that it has brought to the table here at the AIF to say, listen, we have these projects and we think that they're good to be funded. You know, can we get some investors coming into the party? And it's not only obviously South Africa that will be doing that, there will be other governments as well who have projects that are in play that they want to be funded. Because ultimately, as President Cyril Ramaphosa said yesterday, there's no way, given all the kind of pressure that African governments are in terms of their fiscal ability, there's no way that they can invest in development infrastructure on their own. So they need what they call blended finance, a combination of government putting some skin in the game, investors putting some skin in the game, both private and public. And basically the Africa Investment Forum says that this platform is a transactional platform. It's not a talk shop. It's a place where deals are actually being done. And they say that the reason that this is able to be done in this manner is because the fact that there are so many development finance institutions here and governments, it means that they serve as a sort of security for an investor when they see that they're prepared to put their money where their mouth is and also create a positive policy regulatory environment. Then they become more comfortable to put their money where their mouth is and make an investment for the long haul. So I think it is very different. It's about the continent. South Africa is part of the continent. It's getting a piece of the pie, and it's also hosting this event, facilitating this event. And of course, it's in a very good position indeed. And of course, key is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which has been signed by 54 out of 55 countries. That is set to begin or take effect next year. And basically, it needs a situation where there's a lot of collaboration between African countries, where more investment is being made in terms of logistics, energy, and so on and so forth, so that there can be a free movement of goods. And also on the energy front, if you have energy, you can actually produce goods. So it's very exciting indeed. And of course, Nastasia, the important thing is that these pledges that are going to be made, they need to be actually converted into bricks and mortar, on the ground, real development and so on, and not just, you know, fancy roads and all of that, but infrastructure that benefits African people, ordinary African people. And of course, we have to wait and see that that is translated, and issues around corruption and all of that gotten rid of, so that the benefits are for the masses. I know I've rambled on a bit, but I hope that answers your question, Nastasia.
And incisive. Thank you very much. Nompu Siziba, live from the Africa Investment Forum, and we'll take you back there. We'll also be assessing later in the show how significant were the pledges made in terms of investment in terms of South Africa last week. Now,